What's the quickest you've ever seen a new coworker get fired? When I worked in data entry, there was a tricycle on our office floor, just added as a relaxed bit of fun by the managers, who were all very chill people. One of the girls that got hired around the same time as me would, instead of working, just ride the tricycle around the office all day, every day. When we all showed up in the morning, she wouldn't even log into her computer. She would just get right on the tricycle and ride around talking to people until she left to take her lunch break. The day she got fired, she had to be escorted out of the building because she was screaming about, "You're targeting me unfairly, lol." Okay, this is my favorite one. I feel you're only here for the tricycle. Born to trike, forced to work. She called the first day and said her grandmother died. Called the next day and said her car wouldn't start. Called the third day and said her blow dryer broke so she couldn't dry her hair. Never made it to work. Within the first 2 hours of training with me, she asks where she can go and have a smoke. I tell her just outside there's a smoking area. She proceeds to walk outside in front of all the supervisors, lights up the biggest blunt and openly smokes it. She got walked out 5 minutes later. She was probably like, "This place is hella chill," right up until she got the can. Hired my friend's sister as a hostess at our restaurant. She called off for her first shift 3 hours later, telling me that she was having a tough period. 30 minutes into her dinner shift, she started posting pics on Instagram of her being at a party in Canada. We live in NY. Fired her via Insta. Never even worked, then tried to claim unemployment, then had her father call me and try to threaten me into rehiring here. She was 34. You hired Mona Lisa Saperstein. Money please. As a teenager, I worked at a bowling alley. Within an hour, a coworker was fired for dropping a ball on the foot of a complaining patron. Kid came in on his first day thinking he could boss everyone around since he just finished culinary school, strike 1. Caught him later that day vaping in the prep area of the kitchen, strike 2. He asked on his second day if he could leave for 30 minutes to make a drug deal. Needless to say, that was strike 3. What a loser. You don't ask your boss if you can leave work to make a drug deal. You tell your boss that you're leaving work to make a drug deal. Or cut him in as a downstream distributor. Now you're his boss. During their onboarding training, they stole my boss's wallet on camera. 1 hour in. I had a new hire once come in for first day training at a coffee shop I was managing, and after she left, my other worker couldn't find the rings she had taken off to wash the dishes. Next day, new girl comes in to train with us wearing the rings. She didn't even try to deny taking them, she just acted like it was no big deal. After handing them over, I just told her it wasn't going to work out. She just shrugged and said, "Okay." All jovial, smiled and waved by. I seriously think there was something wrong with that girl. A guy at my work was caught playing World of Warcraft for hours every day. The boss called him in, told him it was completely unacceptable, and warned him to stop immediately or he'd be fired. Less than an hour later, IT tells the boss the guy is back in his office playing again. He was let go that day. Friend and roommate was an all-day all-night WoW guy. It got so bad he had to drop out of college and took one of the few options he had left. He joined the army and turned his life around. Joined the actual World of Warcraft. His first day of training, he was hired to be an assistant manager. He told the manager training him that he wasn't going to do what she was showing him because that was woman's work, and he wouldn't be a hands-on manager because that's what the employees were for. He was only there to supervise. He only made it 2, maybe 3 hours into the shift before she lost it on him and told him to go home. I work in a government archives facility. The new guy brought food into the work area on his first day, even though there are signs everywhere saying you can only eat in the break room. And it's just common sense. But the boss gave him the benefit of the doubt and just gave him a warning. Couple of days later, he was eating at his desk again. Bye-bye. Don't know if he was arrogant or just an airhead, but he definitely didn't need to be around 18th century documents. Why can't I eat my extra cheesy guacamole nachos right over this 300-year-old piece of history? 2 days after he was hired, this dude took a nap under his desk at like 10 a.m. He was like 6'5" and his legs stuck out into the aisle. CEO walked by, shook his head in disbelief, and the dude was gone by noon. I once saw a new coworker get fired on their first day during lunch. They loudly bragged about how they lied on their resume to get the job. Unfortunately, they didn't realize the boss was sitting right behind them. By the time we got back to the office, their desk was already cleared out. They were gone before we even finished our afternoon coffee. It is just insane how stupid some people are. Some people don't know how to keep their mouth shut. That's a person you don't want to tell anything to. Yeah, so I lied about everything in my resume and our stupid boss believed it in. He's standing right behind me, isn't he? We hired an IT guy who was just, well, weird. Didn't seem to do much but was always out and about taking to people. Whatever, not my department. Then I heard he got fired. He was asked to help the CEO with his computer. The guy walked into the executive offices, acted weird and like he knew everyone, rude and inappropriate to the secretaries, then walked into the CEO's office and took one look at his computer and said, "No wonder it's not working, Max or shit." Spent 10 minutes ripping into the CEO about his poor choice of computer and complaining about his job, then got asked to leave. Never saw him again after that. Sounds like he was going for the career suicide speed run. An hour into day 2, we worked with some pretty confidential clients and found that he'd shared basically everything on Facebook after day 1. Not my coworker but a friend. His job had hired a new lifeguard for an indoor water park. Turns out the guy couldn't swim and almost drowned during training before the outdoor pools opened during summer.